listen to the music, we've heard the sermon and we can go home. So last week and the week before, I asked you, how are you today? I'm alive, awake, alert, enthusiastic, and filled with the joy of living. We are, aren't we? Alive, awake, alert, enthusiastic. So no one has ever been able to define the infinite power within. And so my talk off the deep end says that now it's the time for us to take the plunge to live a spiritually fulfilling life. So I want to start with a story, and I'm going to just kind of give a synopsis of it because it's a pretty long story. It's the story of Chanticleer. Chanticleer was a rooster. He was a modest rooster, golden color. He lived in France, and he was known throughout the region as the king and protector of his farmyard. Every morning, Chanticleer mounted the rooftop and heralded the morning with his clear crow. He lived to see the sunrise, and quite naturally, he thought the sun would not rise if he were not there to call it in. He had doubts at times, but never failed to get up ahead of the sun and crow. It gave him significance. It made him matter. His life was important. And there's a lot more to this story, but life happened to Chanticleer, and he met this pheasant. And one morning, he overslept, and the sun came up without him, and he was devastated. His whole dream world collapsed. It had risen without him. He was so disillusioned. And then a thought came to him, a great thought. Perhaps, he thought, my crowing does not call in the sun. It does not cause it to rise, but it does celebrate its rising. So Charles Fillmore tells us that our life should be a journey in jubilation. It could be interpreted to let life be. We are the universe celebrating itself as us, each and every one of us. To celebrate yourself means to appreciate yourself, to honor yourself. It is a magnificent and curious experience for us to be alive. So to celebrate ourselves, it means we allow life to express in us, through us, and as us. You are a fabulous human being, magnificent, unique. There is no one who has ever been or ever will be exactly like you, ever. So in Living the Science of Mind, on page 171, it says, personality is the flowering spirit within us, the coming forth of a sacred relationship that we all hold to God. Now, the person who finds themselves in God will come to discover that in the center of their being, there is both the human and the divine. And finding this is like exploring a new land, isn't it? The country has always been there, but we've never been there before. We get to discover its new heights. We get to explore its terrain. We get to go to the depths that have not been explored before. And when we find our center in the divine, we will discover new depths, a new inspiration, a new strength. And when we dive off the deep end into that spiritual truth, we will discover our own personal spiritual power. You are a powerful being. And as we celebrate our true selves, it will blossom our relationship with others and with the divine. Say yes to life. Say yes to health. Say yes to renewal. Celebrate yourself. Moses asked God, "Who should I say sent me?" And the reply was, "I am who I am." The same I am is the Creator. And the I am is also the one who experiences the creation. Everywhere you recognize me, I am. And everywhere you don't recognize me, I still am. I am. God is that presence within you, around you, that moves through you. Akhenaten, the king of Egypt from 1379 to 1362 BC, was probably the first one to express that. He said that God is one, and each one of us is one within that one. And then Plotinus, who was a Greek philosopher, said that each being contains within it the entire intelligible world, that all is everywhere. The I am within you is all there is. Each one of us contains all of the God. Each one of us contains all of the God because God is all there is. So it's interesting to think that each one of us is all of God and an expression of the divine. So when we grow spiritually, when we move into that greater state of spiritual awareness, when we attain spiritual maturity, which is our goal, we get to grow in the knowledge of God. According to Joel Goldsmith, when we start on our spiritual journey, we're usually seeking personal stuff, wealth, health, financial freedom, peace of mind. But when we discover that the Spirit really touches us, it benefits not only you and me, but it moves out and it benefits the entire world. God is working in our own individual lives, each and every person's, whether we recognize it or not. And when we let God's light shine through us, we get to experience harmony, we get to experience health, we get to experience vitality and abundance and wholeness. All of the treasures of the earth are ours. When we come to understand that the nature of God is love, and we focus on this, we gain a new concept of spirituality. We learn that secret of spiritual living, spiritual maturity. Think about this. God is all there is. There's nothing outside of God. That means you're in it, I'm in it. There's nothing else. The chair, the dog, the sun, it's all part of God. We are already there. And when we experience our oneness with our divine nature, we know the truth of who we are. Infinite intelligence, infinite wisdom, infinite understanding. God is life eternal, and our prayer is to realize that each one of us is one with that divine and holy life. To be spiritually fulfilled, we must experience God and demonstrate God at the very center of our being. God fulfills itself as you and as me and as them. Each one of us exists experiencing God in a little bit different way. We are to be healthy and happy and successful because that is our destiny. Our destiny is, if we stand aside and let God express the truth of us, we will realize that Spirit is truly the source of our fulfillment. So I have 10 tips I'm going to share with you from a Buddhist monk. And the first one says, give gratitude. When you wake up in the morning, give gratitude you woke up. Be grateful that you have something to drink. Be grateful that you have clean water. Be grateful that you have food to eat. Be grateful often. Be grateful for everything. And all the answers come from within. That's number 2. The universe will open the door, but you are the one who has to walk through it. Sometimes we lose sight and we become disappointed because things aren't unfolding exactly as we think they should. But truly they are unfolding exactly for our highest and best. And sometimes those answers aren't clear to us from the beginning. We just need to go inside and understand that all of the answers to all of our questions reside within us. We just need to look in the right place and trust in God and trust in ourselves. And number 3, failure equals growth. Very few people seem to understand that making a mistake can be devastating, and it causes us sometimes to focus on the worst. Instead, keep in mind that there are two sides to every coin, and failure is not the end all. Failures and mistakes are a learning process, and a precious one. Someone can teach you a lesson, they can tell you something, but until you actually have that experience yourself, you don't really grasp it. So these mistakes are a very valuable and precious learning experience. Taking chances is such a crucial part of life. I mean, look at the kids, they get on the bus, they go to school, they're taking a chance. This is something new. They've never done this before. Taking a chance. And sometimes we're scared, aren't we? We're scared of the learning process. Well, sometimes in order to succeed, it is necessary to fail. A long, long time ago, I took some seminar, and the gentleman there said, I never see failure as failure, only as a learning experience. And I try to make that my mantra. I never see failure as failure, only as a learning experience. So I can see things from a little bit different perspective instead of, oh my goodness, ain't it awful. Number 4, impermanence. Nothing is permanent. And the sooner that we understand that, the sooner that we accept that, the sooner we'll be able to live a life fulfilled and less filled with expectation and more filled with acceptance of anything and anyone. The only thing that is constant in our lives is change. Life changes, everything changes. And one of the things we can do is, instead of being afraid of change, is just to embrace change, because it can be a beautiful thing. Oftentimes, when we take that step, when we move forward, many of us who've moved from place to place found we didn't want to leave all of our friends here, and yet when we got to that new place, we made new friends. And so now you've expanded your world because you have the friends from before and you have the friends now, and so we're continuing to grow and to build, and it's wonderful. And number 5 is learn the art of patience. For some of us, patience is one of the hardest things to learn. Have you noticed that some people become agitated and frustrated and angry pretty easy? Because we allow things to unsettle us. We allow things to push our buttons. They didn't install them, they just get to push them. There is a time and a place for everything. Time is man-made. There is no time in God. So truly, patience shouldn't be that difficult. But for some of us it is. Patience is a virtue. And the moment you are able to control it, you are well on your way to living a more fulfilled life. That's what I'm still working on, just saying. And number 6, forget about what other people think.
Yes.
You know, we've heard that a million times, but many of us are still concerned and thinking and wondering, what are they saying? What are they thinking? Feeling the ego is by no means healthy. And even though we think when we feed our ego, it results in happiness, but we're mistaken. We are mistaken. Keeping your ego happy does not mean that you are happy. The monks suggest that when you detach from your ego, this is what will allow you to grow spiritually. That is what will allow you to be truly, truly happy. When you focus on what you think and feel, instead of what you think they're thinking, you're thinking, you know. When we focus on what we think and feel, instead of what the people around you are, then you're truly more in tune with your true self. Number 7, fight the enemy within, it says. You might think your biggest enemy is your boss or that bully, but it's not. You are the one that gives power to your fears and your insecurities. You are the one that gives your power away. Before we can accomplish things, we need to tackle that enemy that empowers the elements keeping you from happiness. In other words, what we need to do is put faith in God and overcome our internal fears that keep us from moving forward. Overcome, I don't know about you, but overcome your internal naysayer. Does everybody have one of those? Oh, you can't do that, you shouldn't do that. Oh my, yes. Number 8, happiness starts within. Wouldn't it be foolish to assume that happiness is only in our spiritual life? Because we have friends, we have family, we have things we like to do, we have hobbies, we have books we like to read, some of us like to sing and to dance, and all of those are part of our journey. All of those things are part of our journey, family and friends. However, you're not going to enjoy those things, those activities, those people, if you're not happy with yourself. Once you reach happiness from within, it's easy then to move into being happy around and with others. It's easy to manifest happiness on the outside when we make our own lives worth living. And again, the monks say that meditation is a significant practice. It helps us to cultivate the peace within, and we can bring the peace from the inside out. It helps you become more in touch with your true self. It helps you to live a happier life. It makes you feel happier. And number 9 is be present. We hear this one all the time, don't we? Stop and think about it. How present are you right now in this moment? Are you thinking about what you have to do this afternoon? How soon is she going to be done? How soon am I going to get out of here? What am I going to do later today? Yeah. Be present in this moment, as it's the only moment you can be sure of. Yesterday's gone. There's no guarantee about tomorrow. There's no guarantee about 5 minutes from now. If we learn to do our best and act our best and feel our best just for this one moment, and this one moment, and this one moment, we will be able to live a much more fulfilled spiritual quality life. Smell, taste, see, feel, hear, be present. Be totally present in this moment. Meditation is a tool that helps you with that too. If you're having a difficult time being present, it helps to just breathe and take a moment and go within and focus. And last but not least, number 10, know what is more valuable than material possessions. In this world, with the advertising that we see every day from different sources, it's really hard not to try to accumulate stuff. I have a lot of stuff. And I'm guessing most of you have stuff that you've accumulated. Still, don't we know there are things that are much more important than things, much more important than that stuff? So I want you to just take a moment right now and think about what is valuable to you. Life, love, peace, joy, balance, compassion, friends, family. Aren't all those things so much more important to us than the stuff? So, as we move forward and take the plunge into a more spiritual life, when we go off that deep end, we get to look at what happens every day just a little differently. We get to change our focus from the mundane to the spiritual. We get to look below the surface of what's happening and look at life's deeper significance. And how does that fit in with your dance with the divine? Each one of us has a dance with the divine. And so one of the things that's important is to be content with where you are in this moment. You know, I'm alive, I'm breathing, I'm healthy, I'm all of these things in this moment. I am content to be right where I am, right in this moment. We are exactly, each one of us, exactly where we're supposed to be for the lesson that we're supposed to learn. I've always heard that, or often heard that life is love. We're either a call for love or we're being in love, but all of life is about love. Each day brings us fresh insights, inner transformations, beautiful lessons, joy-filled lessons. When we open our minds and our hearts and our souls to that inner wisdom that can guide us magnificently along our path. As we manipulate our way through the maze, I don't know about your life, but mine can be a bit interesting. And we get to figure out a way to walk through that maze. Ernest Holmes, in Discovering a Richer Life, says, life is not something to be endured. It is something to be lived in joy, in a fullness without limit. So what he's telling us is living a more spiritual life blesses us. It blesses every aspect of our life, and it allows us to reach the highest and the best, and not just what's easy and comfortable. Divine wisdom flows through us, and we learn to see the divine in the ordinary. We can become centers of love, and we can allow that love to radiate to all we encounter. So I'm going to ask you now, are you ready to take that plunge off the deep end to live a more spiritually fulfilling life? To go within and listen to that voice. To check out what your priorities in life are. Is it about things or is it about qualities? Is it about things or is it about living life fully, being fully present? So I'd like to ask you now to join me in prayer. Sweet, sweet Spirit, Father, Mother, God, that whole and holy presence in which we live and breathe and have our being. God, the good, omnipotent, all-powerful, everywhere present. I know there is absolutely nothing outside of God. And I am one with that divine and holy presence, one with the one with health, one with wholeness, one with abundance, one with love, one with life, one with joy. So as I speak my word this day, I know that as we go forward this week, we go forward expressing that love and light and joy that truly resides within each and every one of us, because God is fully present within us and around us, within them and around them. There is nowhere where God is not. I know that every interaction that we have is God communicating and interacting with God. I know that that love of the divine permeates our lives, our actions, our state of being, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that presence of wisdom, that strength and power of the divine that fills our lives this day. It strengthens us, it supports us, it leads us forward. I truly say thank you, God, as I release this word to the perfect working of the perfect law that always, always, and only says yes. Please join me in affirming, and so it is.